lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Scott, and we're back where we left off at our last walking tour in front of the famous Philadelphia Museum of Art. Now, in the last video, we walked around the entire museum. This time, we're headed up to one of the great Fairmount Park mansions in Fairmount Park. So we're going to walk along the path here next to Kelly Drive. That's the Kelly family. Yes, that's that same Kelly family that you're thinking about. Before we make it into Fairmount Park, we're going to stop and look at what's called the azalea garden. I don't know how many azaleas you'll see, but we are right directly behind the Philadelphia Museum of Art. We are still very much in the city of Philadelphia. I didn't drive 10 miles out into the country. I am, however, about 2 weeks past the prime blooming season here. If I had been here a few weeks earlier, there would have been a blaze of color, but it's still beautiful, and I hope you enjoy it. By the way, I'm not sure when you're watching this, but I'm sitting inside. We're having a cold snap, record cold in the Northeast this weekend, even some snow in places. This was filmed a few days ago when it was much warmer. Of course, we are permitted in these public parks with our masks on, and but on a typical beautiful day like this park would be filled. I'm going to show you now one of my favorite public statues here in the Azalea Garden. It's called the Puma. And of course, had our country and the world not been under its current conditions, on a day like this, in early spring, this park would have been filled with folks playing frisbee and people pushing strollers, reading, sunbathing, rollerblading, and having a wonderful time. I had the park almost to myself. Okay, we have now crossed Kelly Drive, and we're getting ready to go up these ominous-looking stairs into Fairmount Park. Fairmount Park is a large park. It consists of over 2,000... Oh, look how quick she goes. The park consists of over 2,000 acres, and we're going to visit one of the old federal-style mansions that is still presently standing in the park. There are about 12 mansions, maybe 8 to 12. All of those mansions were built and to give wealthy Philadelphians an opportunity to escape the heat and the stench and quite often the disease of the city of Philadelphia. Back in the 1700s, this would have been maybe a 1-hour carriage ride outside of the city. Today I walk to this spot. It takes me about 15 minutes to walk here from where I live in Center City, so we're very close. Scanning back, you'll see the top of the skyline, which is a lot closer than it appears in the video. Now, as I said, the mansions that are built and still standing here in Fairmount Park date mostly to the federal era. They're all open to the public, and if you ever should happen to find yourself in this part of the country at Christmas time, I highly recommend the Christmas tour if you can afford the time. It's not too costly, and a bus will take you around all of the mansions. It's quite enjoyable. I'm now standing on the bluff overlooking the famous Boathouse Row. You're not getting a very good view of it. I'll film that on another day. But I wanted to give you a view and to be able to see just how close we are. That's the Schuylkill River. My Dutch friends will have to translate that for me. I have forgotten what it means in Dutch. Hidden, I think. Hidden River. If I'm not mistaken. Now we'll swing back and take a look at Lemon Hill, which was built by Henry... Oops, I guess we're not. We're going to look at the Boathouse Row again. The boathouses, by the way, are the clubhouses for the crew members of the crew teams that perform... I shouldn't say perform. It's a sport. And they have competitions and regattas along the Schuylkill River. Well, there we are. Now we're back at the mansion. My editing skills are lacking today. One of the beautiful architectural features of this house is a stacked 3-story oval-shaped set of parlors that you're just going to get a glimpse of, I think, in a moment. Well, the exterior anyway. We can't go in today. We'll have to save that for another trip. The house was constructed in 1799, I believe, and Henry Pratt moved in 1800. He was a wealthy Philadelphian industrialist of some sort. I don't remember. But I do know it's called Lemon Hill because of the citrus trees that were grown here, planted here by Robert Morris. There were actually lemon trees on this bluff just outside of Philadelphia overlooking the Schuylkill River. And boy, if these trees could talk. And before we leave Lemon Hill, let's have another look from atop the bluff at the Schuylkill River below and a few of the boathouses. They're very iconic in Philadelphia, and you'll see them lit up every night, almost like little Christmas houses when you're driving in on the expressway on the other side of the river. And I believe if you look closely, there we have a good shot of the boats that are racked there on the sides of the house. Obviously, there's nothing really going on the river at this time. And this is just a pretty piece of outdoor. I'm not really sure what it is. I thought at first a bird bath, but we're going to take a look inside in just a moment, and maybe some of you can guess what this is. I guess it's just outdoor art, garden art, for the pure sake of ornamentation. Well, we have left Lemon Hill and Fairmount Park, and it's taken me about 10 minutes to walk back into this part of the city. I'm on my way home, but I thought I would stop and film a little bit of the few blocks that I have to walk to get there. Beautiful old church for you to admire. And I'm walking back to my neck of the woods where I live, walking through the part of the city that's known as Fairmount or Art Museum, and they are the neighborhoods just to the east of the Art Museum. Some beautiful old homes. Philadelphia is mostly known as a city of neighborhoods, mostly very modest two-story or three-story brick row houses. But here we can see this is the high rent district, as they used to say. And these, of course, are all still private homes in the area that I'm filming in now. Sometimes some of the bigger, grander homes might have been converted into apartments and such, but the homes that you're looking at now, the more modest brick row homes or trinities, they're private homes, some of them apartments. As we can see, that looks like an apartment building there on the corner. And if you could see the street sign, you'll see we are on 16th Street. We're going to go just a few blocks more to 13th Street, where I live, and you'll notice that everything changes. Now here's another view of that great big old Art Deco. We're back on Broad Street now. I showed you this building to you a few days ago, but I don't think you could really get the scope of exactly how massive that building actually is. Art Deco, built in 1930. This building here, I'm cutting through on a small, off the beaten path side street to get to 13th Street where I live. And this is a massive old Art Deco, almost if you could mix Gothic and Art Deco together, this is what you get, I think. I love this building. It's still in commercial use today. It has not been converted to living spaces, but we can see the chevrons down below on the facade. Purely Art Deco. I love that tower up in the very top. I just absolutely love this building, and it's rarely seen because, as I said, it's on a seldom traveled street you'll see in just a moment. Note the skyscraper motifs in the brick on either side of the door there. Very modern, upward, speed, streamlined, so 1930s. It's almost textbook. You can see what I mean about this part of the city being very industrial. Here we are on 13th Street, back in my neighborhood. I live right here on 13th Street. We're looking at some of the old factory buildings. This area is an historic area now because of the examples of American industrial architecture, everything from Beaux-Arts to Art Deco. And a lot of these buildings are on the Registry of Historic Places. Most of them are no longer manufacturing plants or factories, but have been converted to condominium space. Well, folks, that's it. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for joining me, and so long for now.